Hi, Chloe. Thank you. All right, so here's what we got going on. We started doing, we were solving quadratics using factoring. We did some of that, and the book just kind of jumps right in and seems to assume that you might know more than we actually do. Okay, so they might have been a little ahead of us here, which is okay. So what I did was I went back, and this is another way to think about factoring. And some people like this. As a matter of fact, I used this same thing for my Algebra 2 class when we talked about factoring because they got a little lost as well. So don't feel bad. Okay. All right. So this is something sometimes called the diamond method. Okay. Because it kind of looks like a baseball diamond or, just something like that. I don't know. But it has a fancy name. We've got to put up a nice picture of a diamond. So it's all good. All right. So here's how this works. We're going to start this off as just like we're solving a puzzle. This is all we're doing. Okay. And then we're going to show you how it applies to factoring these trinomials. Okay. And by trinomial, we mean like x squared plus some number plus just a regular number, that kind of stuff, plus or minus, obviously. Okay, so here's how this works. Okay, so the diamond method for factoring says we have the product, which means we multiply the two guys we have here. Let's get this thing to actually right. That would be good. Factor 1 and factor 2. So we're looking for these two numbers that will multiply together and give us the guy on the top, and add together to give us the guy on the bottom. Okay, so it's just a number game at this point. All right, so the limiting factor on these things is what are the factors of the number we're talking about. Okay, so for this first one, we've got 24. So he wants to find the missing values. Okay, so there's a lot of factors to 24. So I'm going to write them up here. So we've got 1 and 24. Yeah, we got 6 and 4. Good. And there's 2 and 12. Okay. 3 and 8. And I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. So I think Chloe's onto something, because then what you want to do is you want to take these factors and add them together, right? And see if you get 10. Well, obviously 1 and 24 is not going to work. 3 and 8 gives us 11. 2 and 12 gives us 14. So yeah, I think Chloe was onto something when she said 6 and 4. Okay, so that's our guys. All right, so that's all we're doing here. So we're doing this. So we said 6 and 4, or 4 and 6, doesn't matter in this case. Okay. All right, how about the next guy? So we need numbers that multiply together and give us 32 and add together and give us 18. So again, you might be able to just look at this, and I think that's what Chloe did on the first one. You might be able to just look at this and say, yeah, it's this. Some are easier than others. Okay. If you're not sure, again, just start listing the factors. All right, so for this guy, we've got 1 and 32. We got 2 and 16. This thing will actually write for me today. 3's driving me nuts. 3 doesn't go in. How about 4 times 8? I think that might be it. So which pair would be the best number for us here? Which pair is going to give us 18? Two and 16. Yeah. See how this works? Pretty easy, right? So we go 2 and 16. Nice. 2 times 16 is 32, and 2 plus 16 is 18. Cool. Good. All right, how about the next guy? So this time in our puzzle, we need two numbers that will give us 18 when we multiply and 9 when we add them. So what's our numbers here? Six and 3. Okay, let's try that. Put a 6 there and a 3 there. So 6 times 3, 18. And 6 plus 3 is 9. Perfect. Okay. So you know they're not going to stay quite this easy, but they don't get much harder. Okay. What happens is they start throwing in the negative signs. You knew that was going to happen, right? Yeah. And here we get negative signs. Okay. So same deal. Now this time, think of this. So we are multiplying numbers together to give us 36. Okay. And we've said more than a few times that anytime you multiply two numbers together and get a negative, that means at least one of them has to be negative. So before we even get rolling on this, let's put a negative sign in one of these boxes. Okay? So now we need numbers, if one of them is negative, that multiply together and give us negative 36, and add together to give us negative 5. Okay, a little more to it this time. So the way you could think about these is when you figure out your factors, we want factors that are 5 numbers apart. And what I mean by that is like 1 and 6. They're 5 apart, that kind of thing. Okay. So again, if we're not sure, we can start with listing the factors. So we've got 1. And you notice it's usually not 1 and 36. You have to have a really big number on the bottom to where you use these extreme values here. So there's 2 and 18. There's 3 and 12. And again, use your calculator if you're not sure about some of these. So 3 and 12. There's 4 and 9. And there's 6 and 6. So there's a bunch for this one. Okay, so let's look at our numbers. Which ones are 5 apart? So obviously 1 and 36 are more than 5 apart, right? So that is probably not our guy. 2 and 18, yeah, they're still pretty far apart, right? 3 and 12, they're 9 apart, so no. I think you meant 4 and 9, right? Because the 6 and the 6, they're the same, right? So this kind of leaves our guys. Yeah, okay. So now the question is, which one? Okay, so we're going to use the 4 and the 9. Cool. Which one gets the negative sign? In order to add these guys together and get minus 5. Which one's going to be the negative? Yeah, perfect. So minus 9 and positive 4. Negative 9 times 4, multiplied together, gives you negative 36. Minus 9 plus 4 gives you minus 5. That's our guy. Good. All right, so next one, same deal. One of these guys has got to be negative, right? And now we need numbers that multiply together and give us 20, but we need them to be 8 apart. Okay. So again, we think about our factors. So we got 1 and 20. We got 2 and 10. And we got 4 and 5. I think that's it. So only 3 sets to choose from this time. So there's 3 pairs of numbers. Which ones are 8 apart from each other? 2 and 10. And again, which one's going to be the negative? Yeah. So we'll put the 10 here and the 2 here. Beautiful. Next guy. Negative 15. So again, let's just pop a negative in here. You can put the negative on this side, doesn't matter. Okay. So this time we need factors of 15 that are only 2 units apart. So what do we think? Yeah, 3 and 5. The nice part is there's not a lot of factors to 15, right? There's 1 and 15, there's 3 and 5. That's it. And since they're only going to be 2 units apart, we're going to use 3 and 5. Which guy's negative? Yeah, the 5. Good. So we'll put a negative with the 5 and a positive with the 3. And there's our guys. Questions so far? Okay. I think Chloe's getting it. I don't know what the rest of you guys, since you won't talk to me. All right, let's try a few more. So notice this time we still have our negative, but now the guy on the bottom's positive. So how's that going to change things? All right, so again, minus sign here. So with this one, we need numbers again that are 9 units apart. So it's pretty far apart, isn't it? So we start thinking about our factors. Of course, there's always 1 and 36, usually not our candidate, right? And we've got 2 and 18. And we got 3 times 12. And then finally 4 times 9. And 6 times 6. All right, so which is our guy? Which of these guys is 9 units apart? Three and 12. Good. All right, so we're going to use 3 and 12. Now, since the overall sum, the number on the bottom, is positive, which number is going to be negative this time? Three is going to be negative. Good. So 3 and 12. Okay, so minus 3 times 12 is negative 36, and then 12 minus 3 is 9. Beautiful. Perfect. Next guy. All right, so same deal. Negative sign on top means one of these guys is negative, right? Cool. And then we figure out our factors of 20. We need some that are only 1 unit apart. So these numbers have to be right next to each other. So what should our factors be in this one? What's our 2 numbers going to be? Yeah, 4 and 5. And which one's going to be negative? Yeah, so we do it like that. So we go 4 and 5. Beautiful. Okay. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, and then 5 minus 4 is 1. Perfect. All right, so last guy. Negative 15, so again, one's going to be minus. So in this one, we need factors of 15, but they got to be 14 apart. So they got to be a lot further from each other. So which factors should we use this time? Yeah, for a change, we're actually using 1 and 15. Great. And who's going to be negative? Yeah. Okay. So we've had fun filling in our little puzzles. But what's this got to do with our math class, right? So here's how this works. So you remember looking at problems like this yesterday, and some people weren't too pleased with these. They were a little confused. Okay. So here's how we play. I'm not going to draw out the diamond, but I'll do like an X thing over here. Okay. So the number that goes on the top is the last number. So this is minus 32. The number that goes on the bottom is the middle number, minus 4. Now it looks like our game we were playing, right? All right, so let's play the game with this one. So we've got minus 32 and minus 4. So we know automatically one of these guys is negative, right? And now we need some factors of 32. So which factors of 32 you think work out here? So they got to be 4 apart, right? So there's 1 and 32. That's too far, right? 2 and 16. Nah. We've got what? 4 and 9. 3 and 6. 3 and 6. What am I saying? 4 and 9. Yeah. I think that might be it, right? So what's our guys? 4 and 9. Okay, so the overall thing. Wait, 4 and 9 doesn't work because that's 5 apart, isn't it? It's 4 and 8, dummy. I'm calling myself a dummy, by the way. It's been a long week, kids. How about 4 and 8? So which one's going to be negative of those guys? Yeah, right, I know. So which one should be negative then, the 4 or the 8? Since we've established those are our guys. Yeah, so we're going to go minus 8 and 4. So how does this help us? Check this out. Ladies and gentlemen, we just factored that thing. Does that seem a little easier than what we were doing before? Yes, Mo. Okay, so the diamond method's a hit. Awesome. You know, they say when a record goes diamond, it sells 10 million copies. So that's pretty good, right? Okay. Well, then let's try the next one. All right, so this guy. Top number's the last guy, right? So it's going to be 12. Bottom number is the middle guy. He's 8. Okay, so this time we have all pluses, right? So if the top number is plus, then we don't need a negative sign this time. So this is a situation where we need two numbers that multiply together and give us 12 and add together and give us 8. So not a lot of factors for 12, right? Pretty easy, right? Let's grab a different color here. So we got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. All right, so only 3 choices here, right? So which one of these guys adds up to 8? 2 and the 6. So it doesn't matter which order you put them in because they're both plus. So it's all good. So then this guy one's going to be plus 2. The other one's going to be plus 6. And again, the order doesn't matter. If you had x plus 6, x plus 2, that works fine as well. Because remember, with multiplication, the order doesn't really matter. Okay? Questions? I think Chloe's feeling a lot better about this stuff. All right, let's go ahead and check out a few more, make sure we got it. Cool. All right. You know, I had the same thing, like I said, because the guys were a little sketchy in Algebra 2. So just know that this stuff comes back in Algebra 2. So if you have it down now, when it shows up in Algebra 2, like, oh, yeah, I'm cool. I got this. All right, so same game again. So top guy in this one is 24. Bottom guy is minus 11. Now, I don't think we've had one like this before. Okay? So obviously, I have factors of 24. And if they're both positive, yeah, good, Chloe. If they're both positive, I'm not going to get a negative number on the bottom. And I can't have one of each because that would give me a negative number on the top. So as Chloe has very astutely pointed out, both these guys have to be negative. Now, it works just the same way as if both these guys were positive, except you got negative signs in front of it. And what I mean by that is we need numbers that basically multiply together and give you 24, add together and give you 11. Okay. So again, we think about our factors. I know I list this guy all the time, and he's usually not the answer. So we got 1 and 24. We got 2 and 12. Maybe 12. There we go. What else we got? 3 and 8. And 4 and 6. So of these four pairs, which one adds to 11? Three and 8. And the nice part about this one, since they're both negative, it doesn't really matter what order I put them in. 3 and 8. So we come over here, and we go x and x. This guy is negative 3. This guy is negative 8. And we're done. Now, if they ask you to actually solve it, remember this is when we say, well, when does this equal 0? All we do is switch the signs. So instead of minus 3, it's x equals plus 3, because basically they're saying 3 minus 3 equals 0. And if the first parentheses equals 0, we don't care what the other number is. It won't be 0, right? Because anything you multiply by 0 ends up 0. And then the same thing, if you're working with this set, switch the sign, x equals 8. Okay? So 8 minus 8 equals 0. So what that's telling us is if we plug in 3 into the original guy, or we plug in 8 into the original guy, and go ahead and evaluate it, as they say, plug in those numbers, check out an answer, that answer is going to be 0. Ta-da! Cool. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. Fancy indeed. Okay. But I mean, when you look at that thing and say, okay, well, what number do I plug in for x to make this equal 0? I don't know. Right? I wouldn't know either. That's where the factoring comes in. It helps us out with that stuff. All right, so this one, we got to multiply together and give us minus 2. And then remember, if there's no number here, technically this is 1. All right, so we got a negative. So that means one of our guys is going to be negative, right? And what's the only way you can multiply two numbers together and get 2? So they pretty much make the choice for us as far as what numbers. So to multiply together, you just say, and Chloe's got it for us. Yeah, 2 and 1, right? So now the question is, since this guy is positive, right, which one's going to be the negative up here, the 2 or the 1? The 2 is going to be positive or negative? All right, well, let's check it out. So we'll do 2 and 1. So minus 2 times 1 gives us minus 2, but minus 2 plus 1 gives us negative 1. Oops. But that's an easy fix, right? It's like, oh, okay, I got negative 1. I need positive 1, so we'll just switch these guys out. That's the nice part. Even when we make a mistake on these things, it's an easy fix. It's not like some problems where you make a mistake at the beginning, you've been working on it for like 10 minutes, and oh my God, no. I got to go back and do this thing again. All right, so again, go ahead and set up shop here, as we like to say. Okay, so we got x and x. One guy's going to be plus 2, and the other guy's going to be minus 1. Collect points, move on. Okay. All right, let's check out a few more. All right, so same deal. This guy's going to be 24. This guy's going to be minus 11. So what's this tell us about our signs? We have to multiply together and give a positive number. We have to add them together and get a negative number. So what's going on with our signs then? Two positives, two negatives, one of each. What do we got? Well, one of each would give us a negative 24, wouldn't it? Because we multiply together a negative and positive, we get a negative. So probably not one of each. Yeah, 2 minus is good. So they're both going to be negative. Okay. And then we just do the same thing we always do. We say, okay, I need numbers that multiply together and give me 24 and add together and give me 11. So my factors are 24. Which one adds up to 11? So I got 1 and 24. I got 2 and 12. Yeah, I got 8 and 3. And again, since they're both negative, doesn't matter what order we put them in. Go like this. Say x here, and one of them's minus 3, and one of them's minus 8. So notice I switched them here from our puzzle to the problem. Doesn't matter. It's all good. Collect your points and move on. Sweet. All right, let's change up colors. Do another one. So our top number is always the last guy. So he's 35. Middle guy is the bottom number. That's 12. All pluses here, right? So that means everybody's plus. So again, we need factors of 35. Two numbers that multiply together give me 35. Add together give me 12. Not a whole lot of factors of 35, so that makes it kind of nice. So who's our guys for this one? Who's our guys? 5 and 6 is 30. You're close. 5 and what else? Plus 5 and 6 is 11. There we go. So come over here. You know what's going to happen. A couple x's here. Call one guy plus 5. Call one guy plus 7. Collect your points and move on. Sweet. All right, a little fancier here, a little bit on this one. We've got bigger numbers to play with, right? So let's go ahead. So the top guy is minus 40. Excuse me. And the bottom guy is negative 3. So if the top guy is negative, and we multiply two numbers together to give us a negative, what's that tell us about our signs? We go in two pluses, two minuses, one of each. What do we got? So I have to multiply these guys together and get a negative number. So yeah, so we'll do one negative, one plus. Okay, so we'll throw a negative sign there. Cool. All right, so then when we have a plus and a minus, we're looking for factors that are only 3 units apart. So they're kind of close together. So 1 and 40? No. 2 and 20? Not so much. 4 and 10? No. Pretty close, but not quite. 5 and 8? I think that's all the factors. So the smaller the number on the bottom, the closer the actual numbers are together. Okay, so that's something to think about. So the 4 and the 8 are the closest together. Bingo. And since the overall number on the bottom is negative, which one gets the minus sign? Yeah. So we got an 8 there. We got a 5 there. Finish it up. Throw a couple X's in here. First guy will say, yeah, you're minus 8. Next guy will say, yeah, you're positive 5. And again, just remember, if they want it set equal to 0, then X is going to be 8, and X is going to be negative 5. And again, when you look at this, it's not real obvious that if you plug in 8, you're going to get 0. And if you plug in negative 5, you're going to get 0. Not real obvious. Okay? So that's where the factoring helps us out. It helps us figure these things out. Because if you just started plugging numbers in, you're going to be here for a while. Because, you know, our first choice is probably not going to be 8. It's probably going to be like 0 or 1 or something like that. You know, by the time you get to 8, you're like, you know what, I'm really sick of doing this problem. Right? All right, so let's go ahead and road test this guy. All right, so same deal. Top is minus 4. Bottom is 3. All right, so that minus up front on the top means one of these guys is negative. That's pretty much automatic. Okay. And then there's only 2 possibilities to multiply together and give you 4. 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. So of those guys, which one's 3 units apart? 2 and 2 or the 1 and the 4? Yeah, because the 2 and the 2 are 0 units apart, right? Okay, and then the final question, of course, is which one's negative? If the sum on the bottom is a positive 3, which one of these guys is negative? Yeah. So minus 1 plus 4. Beautiful. Collect your points. Sweet. Last one. Well, last page anyway. All right, so same deal. Set up shop. We got a negative 12. We got a positive 4. Since the top's negative, one of these guys is negative. So we need 2 factors of 12 that are 4 units apart. So who do we got here? We got 1 and 12. We got 2 and 6. We got 3 and 4. So which guys do we want here? Yeah. And finally, which guy's negative? Yeah. So 2 and 6, so this would be x minus 2 and x plus 6. Last one. So the top's going to be 45. Bottom's going to be minus 14. Ooh. So these guys are pretty far apart, aren't they? Good call, Chloe. So that means they're both going to be negative because the top is positive, but the bottom's negative. So we need two minuses. Good. All right. So again, not a ton of factors for 45. So there's 1 and 45. Like I say, he's usually not the answer. And other than that, what else we got? 5 and 9? I think that's it. No. We got 3 and 15, right? Okay. And then we got 5 and 9. So which of these guys adds up to 14? Yep, the 9 and the 5, and since they're both negative, it doesn't matter what order we put them in. So we got x minus 9 and x minus 5. Collect points, move on. The diamond method, or factoring made simple. Spring break indeed. All right, gang. Well, that's all I got for you for today, but I think that helped quite a bit. At least it helped Chloe quite a bit. All right, I'm going to shut down the recording, and you know the drill.